All right. Hi, everybody. This is new. I don't know how well this is going to go. I set this up very fast, but me, Paul Tassi, and Travis Northup. Travis, you there? Oh my goodness. It's just it's Master Chief, everybody. I called some friends and I said, "Hey, do you guys want to react to the Xbox conference? So we're going to do it live. I'm going to do my best. I built this whole thing out of a box of scraps, so wish me luck." Thank you for joining us, everybody. We're going to try and go from 5 to 6. So if you check the description, there should be a link to the Discord where you can leave questions in the general chat, and I will read those later on if you have any questions. But we have a few topics that I gave to the co-host today, and I lost that tab. So
I
hopefully
didn't realize this
we can
was.
figure
I
it out.
literally did not realize this was just Xbox until you said that just now, because I tweeted it was the whole show.
Like
But
all
this makes more
E3?
sense. Yeah. I thought this was a full E3 recap, so I was ready to go with my Elden Ring thoughts and my.
Well, okay. Well, the topics are our favorite game. Why is Sony
Okay.
absent?
Yeah, that's
Starfield reaction,
okay.
Halo reaction, Forza reaction. We'll talk about Redfall, and we'll take fan questions from general chat on Discord. You can leave those there in the description. So far, this is going great. Let's just get into general reactions, everybody. So, I thought this was probably one of the best Xbox shows they have ever done. They opened incredibly strong, showing off an in-game trailer for Starfield. Then they kind of showed general stuff that they wanted to showcase. A lot of it day one on Game Pass, third party like Back for Blood, etc. They had Halo in the middle, and then they closed with a new exclusive that we didn't really get any gameplay of. Paul, you're the most balanced, probably compared to me. How did you
Oh, am
feel
I?
about this show?
I don't know. These days, I'm told I'm an Xbox fanboy, so I guess I don't know. I'm becoming less balanced in time. In that spirit, I do think this was very good. You picked the one show that I really liked out of the 4+ shows I've seen so far, because the rest have been not great.
Got him,
But the
internet.
Xbox show was was really solid. I guess I was a bit less enamored with the Starfield intro. Like, I get that it was in engine, but I don't know. That just wasn't very exciting and like not a great way to kind of debut this really anticipated thing. I could use some
Whoa.
more details, some more
Well, did you watch it?
action. I don't know.
Did you watch it when it was leaked, or did you watch it in
No,
4K?
no. I mean, I no, I knew it. I knew it was leaked. I was like 20 minutes of the show, and I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not gonna write about it. I'm just gonna wait. And then they opened with it, and I'm like, all right, well, that's convenient. It wasn't the closer, but so no, it wasn't like it was ruined or anything. It was just it's someone getting into a ship. It's not really like that, that exciting. I'm sure the game itself is like very cool, and like I've heard it's like it's formatted like Skyrim, and there's all these different factions and stuff. It's just that I don't know. Like out of everything they showed, I thought that was kind of one of the more forgettable things, ironically. And I thought a lot of the other stuff they did was kind of more standout, significantly better.
Yeah. One
Yeah.
second. Playing? You okay? All right. I hear knocking in the apartment. I got worried for a second. I'm like, is everything okay? All right. What else were we talking about? So, Paul, you
Yes.
didn't like Starfield as much.
Correct. I don't know. Compared to everything else they showed, I thought it was just kind of a little bit forgettable, but they kind of made up for it with Halo and Forza and well, I'm curious how Redfall's going to go, but that was certainly a surprise. I hadn't seen that leak or anything, so that was cool to see. It is still very strange to just see Bethesda be like 60% of the show. It's just
Yeah.
I don't know, a little strange, but I'm down with it.
Travis, you? I'm trying to bring up an asset.
All good. Yeah, I liked Starfield actually. I think obviously they didn't need to show, or they didn't show really anything, but I don't know that that was the goal of Starfield. To me, it was almost like getting it out of the way and saying like we have a release date and it's Xbox exclusive, and that's really all you need to say about Starfield at this point, right? Is like get that stuff out of the way that people have been like asking questions about forever and speculating about what platform this is going to be on and all that stuff, and so. I think that was huge, just getting that out of the way right at the top of the show. And I think it was an extremely strong show. I think it really says something about your the games that you have to show off if Halo is just kind of like in the middle, right? It's not the headliner. It doesn't come first. It's just something that you put right in the middle of the show. And I think that that just means, you know, they had a lot of really great stuff to show. And Starfield, yeah, ultimately was kind of one of the minor announcements, but everything else they showed off was so good. I don't know that they needed Starfield, right? It wasn't like it was the show was going to live or die by the Starfield reaction. So I think it was fine, and the show overall, I would give it, you know, an A grade. I agree, it was one of the better shows that Xbox has ever done. It was
Well,
just games
yeah, let me
all the
interrupt
way
you.
through.
I appreciate your
Yeah.
thoughts. What do you think of the sandwich? This is an important question. A lot of people really like the sandwich in Starfield here. I thought it would
Pretty
stop
good
on it briefly.
sandwich. I'll
It's
give it
looking good.
that. I mean, look at the pockets in the bread. I mean, that is a
Yeah.
good sandwich asset.
Yeah. I would have
Um, yeah.
liked more sauce on my sandwiches
Which
personally. It looks a little dry, is all I'm saying.
I love how they have a gun where they're like, "Yes, you will shoot things. Don't worry. We're not going to shoot any things in this video, but there will be shooting at some point." So
Yeah.
Ray
Yeah.
tracing there, like reflections in the glass. That's very purposeful. The lighting spilling in through the haziness of the fog in the distance there, and how the
I,
bloom is sort of on everything. Like they're just showing off the engine. Ubisoft did this
but I
yesterday
just
with
have such
Avatar.
a hard time trusting cinematics, though. Like,
It's not a
Yeah.
cinematic,
have-
it's in engine. Like they're making it in the engine of their game. I think this part where the robot walks by is very, very convincing. I think that's closer to what we're going to be experiencing. And
Okay.
all this is probably, I mean, it's all done with tools that they have available to them, though, you know?
yeah, I mean, all you have to
Yeah.
do is compare this to like the Fallout 76 footage, and you're like, okay,
Yeah,
we have
right?
come a long way for sure.
Yeah, the other thing is they could have really easily made this like a action-packed trailer with a lot of shooting, and I kind of appreciate they didn't, especially since you know, following this is the Outer Wilds trailer that sort of made fun of trailers like that. Instead, they're kind of just taking it slow. They're showing you off little hints of the world, a peek behind what the engine might look like, and then that's it. So I appreciated that it took its time, was a little bit slower.
Well, I loved it, and I thought everything about it was amazing, and that we shouldn't poke holes in anything about the Xbox conference. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that
Paul-
sounds
Paul-
like your channel.
No, yeah.
Damn.
Zing. No,
Got him.
you bring up some good points about it, and there are a few things that were sort of off. Like we'll talk about Halo in a second, but Halo did not have a concrete release date, and that has a few people worried. You know, it just says this year, and they also only show the multiplayer logo. So for me, I was like, okay, that's odd. But we have another Halo live stream tomorrow, so maybe we're gonna get the date or the next few days, or we get the date by the time Game Awards rolls around. My personal reaction to Starfield, I'm really, really excited by this. I think it's just enough. I think it's what I wanted to see. I wanted to get a better idea of the concept that they were going for with Starfield, because before all we had was a satellite and a planet. We already know that there's going to be procedural generation in the world. It's the first time they've done anything with the creation engine for a long time. And it's their first new IP in 25 years, as you know, Todd came out and said at the beginning of the show. So, I mean, I loved a traditional Elder Scrolls. I've always loved the traditional Fallouts, and this can be played solo. So I'm really, really hopeful about this, and seeing the tech that they have at their disposal. I agree, it is them more showing off the engine, right? It's not them showing off gameplay. I have to wonder if the PR team is planning out their beats, because they have the Game Awards this year. They have, you know, stuff all the way until November of next year. But we have a date for that flagship game. What did you think about it going first? Were you surprised to see it at the front?
I was surprised to see it at the front, which was good because of the leak. So it wasn't like
Yeah.
their big blockbuster closer or anything, but that wasn't exactly, again, a big blockbuster trailer. So I think they positioned it well. I thought that was a good place to put it, given the footage they had to show. But then I also understand why they didn't necessarily want to close with Halo either. So I mean, we can talk about Redfall later, but I understand why they kind of structured it this way. I thought that made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The original first question I was going to ask you guys was, what was your favorite game of the show? So, Paul, out of everything that we saw, out of all the things at Xbox or even at E3, if you just want to go more general, the goal was more to react to
We
the
can
Xbox
say
release
Xbox.
today.
We can say Xbox. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Yeah. What did you like? Like, what was your
if
favorite
we're
thing?
talking about just Xbox stuff, I mean, it's hard to not appreciate how Forza Horizon looked. Like that was pretty as you're showing it. Yeah, yeah, that was pretty incredible. I'm not really even a huge like Forza person, but I can respect how awesome that looked, and I'm definitely going to play it, even if it's not normally my thing. But then simultaneously, I also thought the improvements they made to Halo Infinite, there was nothing really bad to say about what they showed there. I thought the graphical overhaul they clearly did looked fine. There's nothing to make fun of this time around or anything. I think they really got that back on track. But then if we're just talking everything, like we had a couple like guest appearances, and I mean Battlefield 2042, as you're showing here, looked fantastic. I thought that I I am very much looking forward to that in terms of like what next gen is kind of allowing that series to be capable of, and that it was almost a show stealer, even though it's like not like a day one Game Pass thing or anything. I don't think, or it might be coming to EA's whatever thing they have, but that was very impressive too. I thought.
Yeah. Talking about that, when you go back and you rewatch their whole conference, or at least the beats that you want to see in 4K, it's night and day. It is really, really impressive. Because when we were watching the Battlefield stuff 2042 live, it was like all pixelated and you could see, muddiness of the graphics because you're watching it streamed, right? You go back, you watch that in 4K, and it's like wow. And look at all these games that are coming to Game Pass. It's really, really cool. So I'll throw the question again to you, Travis. What was your reaction and what was your favorite thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of look around my room. It's Halo, right? Like I am a huge Halo fan. I actually am one of the people who even during the original trailer last year, I thought, okay, it's still early. They've got lots of time. I kind of assumed that the game was going to get delayed because COVID was in its prime at that time, and I also am not super worried about like how games look usually, as long as they play well, especially Halo. I mean, it- Halo Combat Evolved and Halo 2 looked really bad when they came out, especially if you play them today. But they play really well, so I was never concerned about it. But if I did have any worries, they would have been alleviated by the trailers that we saw. Both this on the story side, I thought was really impressive, and the fact that we're getting a new Cortana replacement, and we kind of get to keep that personal relationship with the voice in your head. And then also on the other side, the multiplayer that just looked fantastic. And I'm waking up at 7:30 a.m. tomorrow to watch that multiplayer thing that they announced. But yeah, I mean, no surprises there. Honestly, the Paul already took Forza. That's probably my number two because I was not expecting to see Horizon. But one that I'm sure no one here will mention that I was personally super stoked about was a sequel to Plague Tale. I
Oh yeah.
loved Plague Tale. That was one of my best games that year that came out, and a total surprise I didn't see coming. As soon as I saw that on screen, as soon as I saw the world before even the rat showed up, I was like standing on my seat, excited. So
I
I'm
thought it was
really,
Fable.
really excited. Yeah.
It's like it's
No,
Fable. No way.
Fable's not that dark. No
Yeah, I know.
way. Yeah. So, but yeah, I was very, very excited about that one.
I loved Halo, and we might as well use this as a jumping off point to jump into Halo. This moment right here, and I'm just playing back the YouTube video, right? This moment showing off the campaign not only shows graphically how the engine has improved. I think a lot of people criticize, oh, you like full motion video cutscenes. There's so much more happening here. Watching this scene play out really resonated with me. Chief stops. He's looking at the dead soldiers as a result of what he decided to do on his mission, and he reflects for just a second about what's happened. And he does that a few times here as he's jumping through and seeing all the destruction that's surrounding him, right? And I absolutely loved this. It really does a good job of showcasing, hey, we're taking the story seriously. We care about Master Chief. We care about this relationship with Cortana. And when Chief goes and talks to this new AI, it's really symbolic of how he's moving on from his relationship with Cortana. Like, she's the enemy now, right?
Yeah.
And I always said that the previous Halo, I didn't like Halo 5, but it's a breakup game, right? He's basically breaking up with Cortana, and now it's sort of the resolution of that. I've always sort of seen them as, strangely enough, to me, it looks like the end of a relationship from 4 to 5. because 4 is the end, 5 is like the destruction of it, I guess, and this is recovery afterwards, and like how Chief moves
Yeah.
on from that relationship. And I love what I've seen so far. And then it goes right from this into multiplayer, and multiplayer looks equally as impressive visually. I was so blown away with what they've been able to do there. They're going to have up to 120 frames per second support, and just wow. Like, look at that shot. That is such a great shot.
So
You got
good.
the blue ambient lighting hitting Master Chief. And I know I nerd out about this stuff, but I'm really so happy that they did this, that they took the time to show off the engine. Everybody's criticizing game engines right now, but for me, it's like it gives. I don't mean you, Paul. I'm not throwing shade your way, because your criticism about
That's fine.
not showing us gameplay for Starfield is reasonable. But I'm just saying, like, for me, it's something I can sit here and nerd out about, because I see the potential of the stories that were going to be told in this engine, especially through this scene. So people want to be critical of me saying I teared up watching this. I did, because it looks like an awesome Master Chief story. And that's what 5 was supposed to be. So I could just nerd out all day about Halo 5. But Paul, what was your reaction to Halo 5 specifically? Are you a Halo guy?
I am. I mean, Halo 3 is probably one of my all-time most played favorite games. I played the living hell out of that in college, especially, and I was very impressed with everything I saw here. I would have liked to see maybe a little bit more of the open world and sort of like a revisitation of like what got botched the first time. Like, oh, like this looks actually a lot better now, because we went back and like we sort of just got like a flyover shot of the open world. And then we got like a cutscene for the campaign. But I agree. I thought that was a good showcase of the engine. It introduced kind of some interesting story elements and got me curious about how things are going to play out from there. And then multiplayer. I mean, whoever put together that multiplayer reel that was fantastic, with the grappling hook, with the sword, with the it was pure Halo from start to finish. And like, yeah, I've been a little all over the place with the 343 games, but from what I'm seeing, this looks kind of like the most promising installment to date, and I'm certainly excited for it.
And Travis?
Yeah, so a few things. One, I'm totally with you on the kind of emotional stuff that they've done with Master Chief. I think 343 has done a really good job with that. Lots of people like to make fun of Master Chief as just being like a nothing character without a face, but I honestly think it couldn't be farther from the truth. From the emotion he shows in 4, even 5, you don't play as Master Chief as much as I would have liked in 5, but when he's there, the voice actor Steve Downes, he does such a good job of keeping that stoic, uh front facing kind of voice, but you can hear underneath that like the emotion of like what he's going through. And I think that's such a rare thing, and it for fans of the franchise, it's great. So I love that they're sticking to that. I also don't really have a problem with 343 storytelling. I think the biggest problem with 5 is you only play as Master Chief for 3 levels, but in terms of the actual story that they tell, I thought it was good. I thought it was great that they were taking a very bold different direction, and am excited to see how they build on that, and also how they kind of evolve that based on the feedback. So I'm excited about that, just all the story stuff. But from the multiplayer side, like, dude, I was just screaming the whole time, howling. Like, my God, dude! Like, the grapple hook onto the plane pulls the guy out. The grappling hook weapons toward him. The item that they threw at the warthog. Every moment, they're throwing the grenade and bouncing the sword toward him. That's an old reference to Halo 1. You could do that in Combat Evolved, and people do clips on Reddit all the time of that trick. So I could not be more excited for this game in general. And I really do believe in 343. I think they understand Halo. They love Halo, and they've gotten better at doing it every game, I think. And so I'm just really excited to see where this goes. I really didn't think Halo 5 could get better in terms of its multiplayer. So
Halo 5 multiplayer
looks
was really good.
It was
like
really good.
shockingly
Yeah.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, we
But
have
what I am curious to see is the arena multiplayer, because I thought Halo 5 did that really well, and we didn't really see any arena. This is all big team battle, capture the flag. And one thing that did jump out at me is how much I miss capture the flag being in multiplayer games. Like, they kind of took that out. That was in every game for a while, and they took it out, and you haven't really seen it in a lot of games. So seeing capture the flag front and center in Halo is like, oh my God, it's back. I was ecstatic.
Yeah, and how did you feel about, the fact that it's going to be $70 and oh wait, it's free. It's totally free. That's
but
nuts.
how much is the campaign though? That's my question. Is
That's a
Well, if you have Game
multiplayer's
Pass,
free?
$9.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's right,
Yeah, I
yeah.
forgot everything's in Game Pass, so I guess that's kind of a moot
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
But I bet
guess
you
I
it'll
am
be a
sort of curious what
$50
they're
game.
pricing it at, regardless. Like if you do want to buy it standalone, but
Yeah, I would love to see that. I'm wondering if it'll be like $40. It'll be cheaper because the multiplayer isn't there. But they're definitely going to sell us season passes, right? Maybe not for the first season, but every season
Yeah.
after that, you got to imagine they're going to have some sort of way to monetize, or at least
For sure.
microtransactions that are cosmetic, like 5 or something.
Yeah. I didn't even think about that, like pricing it separately from the other one, from multiplayer. That's going to be an interesting strategy.
it would be
them,
odd
like-
if it was 70 or no. Well, it's Microsoft. It would be $60. They're not
Yeah.
Sony. They're not doing $70.
I think they'll do 50. I feel like 50.
I could see 50. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, it's like Game Pass is,
Yeah. Why would you
exactly.
even bother? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we know enough about the campaign. There's a ton of websites. I'm gonna be brave and I'm gonna go back to the 3UP and hold there, and I'm gonna try and figure out how to bring up other websites on this thing I got set up right now. So yeah.
What are you looking for?
Well, the website went live with some more details about Halo Infinite.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
So I just wanted to go here. Let's see if I can do this really quick. Apologies, everybody. I know this isn't good live
trailer
programming.
like 5 times. So
Yeah.
I've sort of remembered every frame of
did
that multiplayer. There we go. Look at that.
But look, I'm getting better at this. So this is the website that went up today, and basically it's play available holiday 2021, coming day one to Xbox Game Pass. It's coming to Xbox Series. It's coming to all these platforms. So the OG Xbox One, and I haven't actually read this website yet, so I'm kind of reacting to it live with everybody else here. Halo Infinite Multiplayer, Halo Celebrated Multiplayer returns, reimagined and free to play. Really great art showcasing some of the customizable Spartans, and they tell us a little bit about the modes. We got Arena, fair starts on map equipment, and 4-player squads offer a balanced arena shooter experience. Big team battle, create endless combat possibilities by mixing and matching a rich variety of weapons and equipment to experience big team mayhem that embraces the full spectrum of the Halo sandbox. And then they show some of the customizations. Paul, this is like Destiny.
Yeah.
You can actually customize your multiplayer character.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be a combination of like earning stuff, but I bet they're gonna have stuff in a battle pass too for that kind of stuff. But
oh yeah, they have the whole battle pack system or whatever from Halo 5, right?
Well, also of note here is that they are not doing a battle royale. Like if they were going to announce that, that would have been today, and it does not seem like they're doing one, despite everyone being like they'd be crazy not to, or it would be really stupid if they did. Like they're not doing it, so that's interesting.
They do have the event tomorrow though, so maybe we're gonna.
Yes.
I think tomorrow we just see multiplayer matches though.
Me too.
You think
Yeah.
think they would announce it tomorrow? I feel like they're not going to do it at this point.
I think
They could, but
they
like
did say
Battlefield doesn't have a battle royale, so it's really much just like Warzone in terms of like the mainline shooters that are having battle royales now. So
I think they stuck to their guns. They said a few years ago the only BR they care about is battle rifle, and I think that's the
good.
path
It's a
they're
good
going
quote. Yeah.
And look, you can become a hero with Xbox Game Pass, everybody.
Oh
I
man.
already have. I've been a hero since the beginning.
Marketing. Yeah, so I mean that was really, really exciting to see. And then there's the MediaWire website somewhere here. Oh yeah, and then they have a few more details over here. So I will once again, do this live. Travis, if you want to riff more about Halo, knock yourself out. Now's your chance.
Absolutely. I'll riff about Halo all day. I'm interested to see because the last trailer we got for story had, it almost seemed like they were getting rid of some of the stuff that happened to Halo 5, or at least kind of just like distancing itself from it. And this story sort of did the opposite. So that sort of alleviates some of my fears. I was worried that they were going to backpedal and retcon and just make
Surprise, Cortana's good again. Don't worry about it.
Exactly.
No way.
So I'm so glad to see that it seems like they're trying to do a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, tell some new stories, and sort of play off of what happened in 5. So I'm really excited to see that. So it also makes me wonder how long the game is. You're apparently fighting this brute general. There's that whole storyline, and then also this Cortana thing. Like, is that going to?
Well, this is also supposed to be like the base platform for like future Halo things. So this could get at least a little live servicey with like them adding more stuff to it over time in the open world and campaign and whatever. So
Yeah,
I'm
I'm really
curious to see how they handle that.
yeah, I have no idea what their plan is,
Yeah,
but
I mean they
I
didn't talk
either
about that at all.
yeah, either way, I'm
I have
just
no idea
glad
how
that,
to get out of this giant image.
they
Sorry.
said something.
It looks good, I guess.
Yeah, it's the press kit. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, hype. Do you guys want to move on to the next one?
Sure.
I love the armor, man. That samurai armor. Can we talk about that for a second?
Oh,
Yeah, go
that
for it.
did look pretty sick.
Samurai armor. I mean, I know that I think that samurai armor is in Halo 5 and you get it by beating all of the campaigns and Master Chief Collection solo on Legendary. I think I have that armor from doing that, but I wonder how you'll get it in this game. I hope it's not a pre-order bonus because I feel like that's like a legendary armor.
I don't
Why
think it's a
OBS?
pre-order bonus.
Sorry. All right. Well, that's all we have for that one.
Cool.
Just giant image.
Yeah. Anyway,
Before we go to like Forza or something, I think we shouldn't gloss over some of the other like kind of standout, smaller, unexpected ones that
Yeah,
showed
what
up.
do you
Like
got?
Atomic Heart was.
Oh,
like,
Atomic Heart. Yeah. Day one
that
game
really,
pass third party.
I don't know what that is really. It looked like Bioshock / Fallout / Dishonored, but like it looked really cool. And like I don't quite know what type of game that's going to be, but it looked really interesting. And then what's the Pixel one?
Oh yeah, I know
What's
what
it
you're talking
called?
about. The one with the AI that's in the human body.
Replaced. Yes.
Yeah,
That was like a real standout for kind of the unique style of it, and that was just deeply impressive, I thought. And I'm very curious to see what that looks like as you actually play it. But is this Atomic Heart?
This is replaced.
Oh, Replaced.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
So this was like sort of the pixely one, right? And here, I'll just jump
yeah.
forward a little bit.
yeah,
to
but
it.
like crazy
Yeah.
art with that. Like I've never seen pixel art like that. That was nuts.
I really like this one also. What did you think, Travis?
Yeah, I love indie games. I will play the heck out of this. I also really like sci-fi stories, and apparently they did a press release after this trailer came out, and you're an AI that's in a human body, and I guess trying to figure out some stuff about identity.
And
So that
Replaced.
sounds like a really good premise for a sci-fi story. So I'm very excited for that.
It's pretty cool stuff. What else did you like, Paul?
Well, they randomly announced like the Diablo 2 date in this show.
Oh yeah.
So that was cool. And that's coming to Xbox. That's
There's
like
like
September or
inside
something, late September. I am really excited for that just because I really enjoyed the alphas and whatever they've been putting out so far. So I've been kind of like preventing myself from over grinding those tests just because I want to just play the final version. But I was very excited to see that too.
Travis?
Yeah, I liked they announced a game that's made by the Inside team, or some of the people that did Inside and the other game. I'm forgetting the name of it. But yeah, it was the side scroller one, 3D. I can't really remember many details about it, but it looked awesome. And that team is just very talented. I like those types of games, those little short story focused ones. So yeah,
Too much
that was
12 minutes.
No. I wish I could remember more details about the game. I really need to go back and watch the show.
I don't know what
but
you're talking about.
Yeah, it was a shorter trailer, but
Okay.
I'll figure out. I'm gonna Google it right now. Figure out what it is.
I want to jump to Forza because Forza absolutely blew me away. So we're gonna click over to this talking guy who talked about gameplay, but they talked about like how they shot 12K shots of the sky and the ray tracing on the car and all that stuff. Like everything about this was just awesome. And I can't believe what they were able to do for Forza. It also sort of makes you wonder what
It was called Somerville. Somerville was the game.
Oh, Somerville. Yeah. It's
Oh,
from the
yeah,
X Play Dead
okay.
people, right?
Yeah, that game was
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah. So reaction to Forza. Paul, you said this one really impressed you. Why?
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of cheating because like for years and years and generations now, it's always the car games that look the coolest. Like
Yeah.
when it's whether it's Gran Turismo or this or so it's kind of cheating because like these always look great, but like they never fail to look great. And this is another one. I think this is another one where you had to watch it in 4K because like when there were kind of water effects and stuff, it was getting really pixely. But if you look at like the source video, like it's pretty nuts. And I mean, obviously, Horizon is kind of a great sub-series of Forza, and it just looks it's absolutely gorgeous. I'm very curious to kind of see the grand scope of the open world. I think Mexico is a really cool setting. That was unexpected, and From what they showed of it, that seems like a very on point place to do it. I like that there's voice work and like some semblance of a story to it that's engaging. And yeah, as someone who wouldn't normally really like be super into a Forza game, like I am absolutely gonna play this one for sure.
Faisal
Yes.
007 said Replace looked exactly like the last night. I thought the same thing actually when I saw it. So yeah, thanks for the shout also, friend. Sorry, I haven't been reading chat. I've been so excited to talk to these guys because I've been working all day, and this is our first time that we actually get to hang out and talk. So yeah, just look at it. Like, just look at the
Beautiful.
game. Like, what else can you
Beautiful.
say? The game speaks for itself. And you know, I tweeted this, throwing a little bit of shade at all the people who've been saying this. Like, all the people who keep saying Xbox has no games. Well, they just announced a ton coming out for 2021, and they're setting themselves up for 2022, and they're not going to stop. Like, this is the snowball effect that I've been talking about. Like, it's going to ramp up, and before you know it, you're just going to have tons of fantastic Xbox exclusives to play on that platform. And that's been their strategy from the beginning, in my opinion. Do you have any thoughts
Yeah.
on that, Paul?
Yeah, I mean they're especially this year, now they're gonna have Forza and they're gonna have Halo within assuming what, a month of each other, 2 months
Yeah.
of each other? Like that's kind of a double hitter of two of their biggest first party IPs, and we're not even really getting into the Bethesda stuff yet. So those
Oh,
are
yeah.
just like the core Xbox IPs, I guess minus Gears of War. And so I think it's been a slow year. Obviously, they launched with almost nothing. I guess their exclusive was Cyberpunk because Sony delisted it. And besides that, there really was not, significantly many more reasons to be like, okay, you got to pick up this game for Series X. But now, I think as of this fall, like they are going to start having real competitors to a lot of Sony releases, and it seems like they are at least are going to be on a somewhat consistent schedule of getting these out. Like we already know, minus delays, that Starfield is going to be their big holiday game for 2022. So that's already planned, and that'll, I assume, maybe be going against God of War or something like that. So it's like a real kind of competition now. When
Yeah.
before it was just sort of Sony steamrolling, and like Sony may still have better overall first party games. That certainly seems likely given the kind of proven track record they have. It's just now Xbox has a lot of ammo in terms of like maybe not everything hits, but you have to imagine some of these
But
games are going to be great. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
Some,
it's just the sheer odds at this
And
point.
they're all on Game Pass. That's
Yeah.
the
And they're
advantage
all
that
Game
Sony
Pass,
has.
yes.
some of them are going to be great. Game Pass is $9 a month. So for what, $110 a year, less than the price of two Sony games. Less than the price of two Sony games, but mind you, you're getting all these third-party games. You're getting all the exclusive games. So Starfield, Halo, Forza. You're getting all of those for, again, less than the price of two Sony games, who has planted their flag in the ground and said $70.
I can't tell you how bad that feels now. Like I just bought Ratchet and Clank, and like, I went to buy it, and I just saw the $70 price tag, and I'm like, really? Like,
Mhm.
I can't believe they've kind of like are standing the ground on this and think this is like the correct answer to what Xbox is doing with Game Pass. Like it's wild, and like, yeah, I paid it, but like there's certain other games where it's like, okay, Godfall was $70. Like we're really getting it's a wide range of stuff where that price tag, even for games that may actually be quote worth it, like it feels terrible, and it's like the opposite of what they should have done if they were trying to kind of not lose more ground at Game Pass.
Travis, any thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, I for me, like Sony's strategy is working for them. I'll never say like, oh yeah, they know, we know what's best for their business. Like if they want to do that strategy, it's worked, and they make great games. Then I think a lot of people think are worth
$70.
$70.
We believe in generations, but we don't really.
Yeah, but I think that where
Like,
they get in trouble, is with the communication, like the whole "we believe in generations," and then they flip flop when Godfall doesn't sell well, and then the fact that they're also competing for multiplats, and I think they're just going to get destroyed in the multiplat space because of the Game Pass value there, and with Xbox moving away from platforms even, and saying now you can play Game Pass games on your TV, and now you can play it on your PC and all that. It's
mhm.
just, unless they think their $70 first party games can support the vast majority of their revenue, it's going to be really hard for them to compete in the multi-plat space. And that's where I start to think like, well, maybe they're going to have to change strategies there
So
pretty quick, but we'll see.
Travis, I want to use that as a jumping off point, actually. Do you think it's a mistake that Sony wasn't at this E3? Because, I mean, I'll say it. I think it's a big mistake, and I think it sends the wrong message to the gaming community. It says, we're the elite platform. You only play here if you're like the best of the best, and we don't have to play your game at E3. And like, I think that's how the community takes it. And a lot of people are just like, they don't have to be there because they're winning, right? No, they don't, but it's sort of like a community thing also. So they came out, they did their Horizon thing. It's just like, why do they just not want to be involved at all? I find it very weird, and I don't like the tone that sets for what Sony's doing. I feel like Sony is running into this problem where PR wise, you got Jim Ryan, who does not play well in text form at all. And you have Herman Hulst, who is playing off much better when he does interviews and on camera, right? So I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Paul?
Okay, I definitely think they should have had a show for this. I would understand if they didn't necessarily want to be in E3 as like an old traditional press conference and have to go through the ESA because like there's a whole other set of issues there. But I definitely think they should have had like the Sony showcase of whatever, like next Wednesday or next Friday or something like that. And I kind of just assumed they were going to, and then we got this Horizon thing, and then there is no like real Sony event. And like I have to believe that they have enough to show or announce that I don't really understand why they wouldn't do that and put the Horizon thing in it, and then like I don't know, show 30 seconds of God of War Ragnarok and like announce the title of a Naughty Dog game or something. You know what I mean? Like I think they could have come up with enough stuff to have a show, even if it was like 45 minutes an hour, and that they're just not in the conversation right now, and all we're doing is we have an entire show talking about how good the Xbox show was, and we don't have anything to compare it to with Sony other than 20 minutes of Horizon footage, which did look good. I thought it
looks great. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a very weird position to be in to sort of like not play at all. For some companies, it makes sense. Like Activision, like okay, they have BlizzCon, Blizzard's not really making anything, and then they have Call of Duty. That's like their only other game essentially, and so they're just gonna announce Call of Duty stuff in Warzone. So like that makes sense. But like Sony, you would think that at least you want to be in the conversation around this time. And like, I don't know, maybe they're going to have an event in July or something and this won't really matter, but it does come off as decidedly weird that they just didn't really want to play ball in any sense other than this Horizon footage.
Yeah, I'll also be reading all the super chats from this point forward. So L. Eminopio asked about Age of Empires. I actually don't know, so I'm not able to confirm if that is PC only. That was his question, but thank you only for sending it in. Is it, Travis?
It is PC only. Yep, I checked that right after.
Okay, great. So yeah, that's what we thought about that. And so my stance is, I think it's weird that Sony wasn't there. I think it sends the wrong message, and it was just odd. Like they sort of did their own thing before E3, so they kind of had the conversation, right? But now Xbox there's no competition for Xbox. They're not competing against anybody. They're not competing against Nintendo. Nintendo, we think, is going to launch their new console, right? Paul, you wrote that article today. People are thinking it's like the version 2 of the Switch, and Sony did this gameplay demo, which is good, but now it's just like there's just nothing. No third-party talk. Well, I guess the Godfall announcement that it's coming to PS4, when they said it wasn't.
The biggest headline.
Yeah. So like they can't even react to that. Like there's no. It's weird. That's why they should have just came and hung out with the E3 stage or something. I don't know. It's just weird to me. Sorry, Travis.
Yeah, for me, it's like it is more about the community thing. I don't think they need it, and I think they've had success with state of plays and focusing on specific games. And if that's the way they want to do it, I mean, there's plenty of people in the industry that don't do E3. Rockstar has never done E3. They've done like a few announcements over the years, but largely they just are like, nah, we're not going to do that because we're Rockstar. We can, right? And I think maybe PlayStation's kind of thinking they're the same way. But I think it says a lot about the community of E3, or like doing an E3 and what it does for the gaming community is awesome. And it also helps you build relationships with developers and publishers, and you get to show off their games on your stage. And it kind of, it serves as a purpose in and of itself, right? And obviously there's no physical location this year, but they've also not done it in past years when it was there physically. And I think that walled garden mentality, where it's kind of the same mentality they have for their games and through their resistance to crossplay and all that stuff. I think it is a strategy that makes them look a bit smug. And their games are still great. I still have a PS5. I'm still going to buy exclusives like Ratchet and Clank that are awesome. But
Mhm.
yeah, it does. It's not a good look, and I think it ultimately kind of it does a damage to you at the community level when you're giving a Plague Tale time on the Xbox stage and saying, "Hey, Xbox, we're going to support your game and you support us on our platform and all that," and then PlayStation's just not giving a platform to third-party games like that. I think that's hurtful to them.
Yeah, chat says Sony isn't showing all their cards. Just wait. Yeah, we'll be waiting because they said that Horizon might not even come out this year. So I think they have their stable of content that they had available out. And now they're being really quiet because they need time to build up their stable of games again. So Xbox is going to be in the conversation a lot for the next year, probably. And then next year, Sony will come back into the conversation because they'll start talking about their slate of 2022 games, right?
I mean,
that's
to
my
be
thing.
fair, I know this is like an Xbox heavy, thing here, but like the past year of Sony and like the current year that's ongoing, I mean,
It's
they
been
launched
stunning.
with more stuff. They had Miles Morales at launch. They had Demon's Souls, and now they have Ratchet and Clank, which is like pretty much the best reviewed next gen game that has come out yet.
Absolutely.
And then Horizon is I assume going to be pretty good this fall. So like they have had an entire year of pretty solid releases, whereas
Yeah.
Xbox has been pretty much a void until this upcoming fall, and then they'll start getting going. So like I don't know. Believe me, I think Sony comes across as smug very often, but
Mhm.
I also think, it's not totally unwarranted the position they're in right now. But I would
Yeah.
expect some sort of show in the next month or two
Well,
anyway.
Yeah,
I
well,
agree
I
that
want
they've
to
had a great
clarify
year.
something about how I feel
Yeah.
about Sony just generally. I love all the developers that work at Sony. They make phenomenal games, and I love the games that come out in Sony. Most of my problems are with how they've been handling PR. I think it's really bad, and also just the messaging that we get from Herman Holst and Jim Ryan being opposite. Basically, that's mainly my issues with Sony. It's strange, right? And I think they need to get that messaging in order. And I'm just showing off Stalker 2 because oh my god, it looks so good. But anyway,
It does.
Travis.
Yeah, I was going to say about the Sony thing, and they've had a really good year, and I think they're going to continue to have good years. But I do think there is something to what Destin's saying, which is not that their games aren't good, but that they may have announced a few of them a little bit too early, and that they're kind of paying for that a little bit because they famously will announce games and then you'll see it at E3 for 3 or 4 years, right? And not get a whole lot of like new announces. You'll just get a new trailer every year. And I think that Xbox kind of used to do that, but in recent years they've held their cards a little bit closer and waited till games were closer to coming out.
Yeah, did
Because,
you enjoy hearing about Fable and Perfect Dark and Avowed
yeah,
today?
right, yeah, exactly. Didn't hear about those games again. Or yeah, well, you heard them
They're
name
saving
drop
them for
them,
the
but that's
next
it,
thing
right?
because they got
Yeah,
announced for 2022 and they got announced
Yeah,
for
I heard they're going to be
2023.
a Game Awards to
but
some
I know
extent.
Phil
They're stacking the
Spencer
deck.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah, Phil Spencer said not too long ago that like he felt like they bit themselves a little bit by announcing stuff like Cuphead and then that being on the Xbox stage for like 4 E3s in a row, and that they were just gonna wait a little bit longer and kind of do what Bethesda's done, right? Bethesda typically doesn't announce games until like 6 months before they come out.
Mhm.
And so I think they're trying to be a little bit more conservative, and I think maybe Sony's going to start doing that too, because it is a problem when you announce a game and then it just inevitably gets delayed a bunch of times and people are like, all right, well, when is this game actually coming out? And then you have stuff like Beyond Good and Evil, which Paul and I were talking about this week. Like that game got announced in like 2008 or something. It was like a
Mhm.
really long time ago. And then we got another trailer in 2017 and 2018 and it's still not out, and they didn't talk about it this year at the Ubisoft conference. So it's just really weird.
They're
We-
gaslighting us. It just doesn't even. They never announced it. It was just all in our
Yeah.
heads.
We have a few
Yeah.
super chats. Umfada said Sony is being punished for releasing games instead of paying for advertising at E3 and delaying the game till Christmas. Now I understand that Umfada is trying to. I think he's implying that I feel like I'm punishing Sony or something like that, or the community is. Sony has 25 million consoles sold, and all their games are bestsellers. So Sony is not being punished whatsoever. And that's not what we're talking about. I think we're all in agreement that Sony has a stellar lineup of games. So far, Returnal is still probably my game of the year until we start playing some of these others
Oh,
like
I forgot
Forza.
about Returnal when I was
Yeah.
listening to the other games.
Returnal.
Yeah,
that was a really good
Forza
game.
might be one of my games of the year right now. So like I said, that's why I wanted to clarify, because it does seem like I'm just poo-pooing on Sony all the time, but it's really just a frustration of what has been going on with management. Dovahkiin says Sony made a good job trying to push more stuff earlier than Xbox, but reality is they won't be able to keep up with the volume. Rest of 2021 looks dry, and that's exactly what I'm getting at. That was from Dovahkiin. So yeah, that's kind of the point that I'm making. They had a better launch lineup. That's probably one of the best launch lineups maybe in gaming history. I don't know, like the 360 might come close, but Sony has had a killer window, right? And now it's Xbox's turn, period. And this is what I want. I want both of these companies competing for your business. And I'm sorry, but right now, value proposition wise, Xbox has that on lock and they're getting their gaming library in order. Sony has the killer games though, and that's why they're moving consoles. But that's going to get a lot more even real quick, in my opinion. Travis, were you going to say something, or what else did what else were we going to talk about today?
A good ribbon on this topic.
Yeah. Okay. So I did say we would take live questions in chat. You can leave them in the Discord,
Are you
or
skipping Redfall?
that's the one I was looking for. No, thank you so
closer.
much. So we were going to talk about Redfall also. Paul, what was your reaction to Redfall? It's an interesting game. Codename Omen. I was really hoping it would be. I had this ready to go for the show and nothing.
Backwards. I couldn't read it.
It's Blood Omen 2. It's Blood Omen
Oh, okay.
2.
Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
Legacy of Kain. Alas, maybe next time. What was your reaction to this game? It's an interesting game.
It is interesting. I'm a little confused because I'm trying to figure out what like genre this is. So like you got 4 people. They seem to be in like classes, like player classes with invisibility and anti-gravity and whatever. And then but it's also, they said it's open world, I think, simultaneously. So I'm trying to figure out if this is like Left 4 Dead style, where it's like a survivor thing and it's always co-op and you're fighting off vampire waves and stuff in this open world, or if it's like Borderlands with like 4 classes and like you're going to be looting things and like it's a looter shooter. And knowing that it's Arcane, I'm leaning toward it's probably not that, but I don't really quite understand the genre. I thought what was shown was cool. I very much enjoyed that it is not another zombie game and that we're at least dealing with vampires, which I think are a much more interesting villain since they can do lots more things than zombies. And I think we've kind of exhausted that pool for a while, and there are not tons and tons of vampire games like there are zombie games. I don't know if it was like the biggest gangbusters closer ever in an E3 show, but it's certainly interesting, and it's certainly something I want to know more about. And obviously, since it's Arcane, I mean, you would have to assume it's going to be pretty good based on their past work.
Paul, apologies for interrupting. Connor did point out that they said it's an open world game at the beginning of the showcase, so it is open world.
It is open. Yeah. Okay, I thought so. So, but that raises even more questions. So it's not like I can't see them making like an open world like looter shooter, but it's also clearly not like Left 4 Dead, like kind of linear levels with spawning things. So I'm just very curious as to how this is going to play out in practice, and kind of if the genre is going to be something that definitely interests me, or like if I might have to kind of let it grow on me or whatever. So
yeah. I don't really know what to expect for this one. Travis, I'll let you go first.
This one. So I was curious, like, are we playing as these characters, or are these just examples of like characters you can make? And it turns out that they are the characters in the game. Like, so it is a character based, like presumably class system, just based on all the roles you kind of see in the trailer.
That's a character creator. That would be like the best character creator I've seen.
Yeah, right?
I'd be amazed if those weren't preset characters, honestly.
Yeah.
But.
So they are preset characters, open world, kind of shooter, vampire hunter. But I'm kind of with Paul. I'm curious about like what this game actually looks like, because my first thought was, oh, they're making like a looter shooter, like Arcane's finally getting their feet in that water. But it doesn't have that feel. Like their weapons don't feel like they're being upgraded. I feel like that would have been incorporated in the trailer, or they would have picked up some sort of loot, because that tends to be, if that's part of the fantasy, that maybe it would have been in the actual trailer. But I am very curious. I love that it's a new IP. Like we didn't get a whole lot of them. I think we got Contraband, which heist game seems cool. But we didn't really get a whole lot of other brand new IPs, and this one's just really exciting. All the characters seem awesome. I love the goofy powers that the purple power lady has, where she has a phone booth and an umbrella and all that weirdness. That was
Doctor Who, that's her
super.
power.
Yeah.
Yeah, super goofy, weird powers, and the robot was cool. And yeah, I just really liked everything I saw. But we just have to kind of see what type of game it ends up being. But being Arcane, I'm sure it's going to be awesome. I'm sure it's going to be a really great game. So I'm excited.
I love new ideas. I was happy that we got to see a new idea, even if it didn't super resonate with me. I'm just still curious. What is this game? How is it like? How are you and I going to play together, Travis? What's it going to be like when I play solo? Is it like Destiny where you're online and other people are just there, but you're playing by yourself? I'm really curious about how it's going to be. El Eminopio also said, I got Sunset Overdrive vibes in terms of the chaos and style of the trailer. Yeah, the whole time I was just trying to wrap my brain around, what is this game? So now I think we enter the point of the show where I'm going to do super chats and I will do questions from Discord. Again, I appreciate you guys bearing with me as I duct tape together this show. And hopefully it's looked pretty good. I did it very fast. So
looks great, Dustin.
Thank
You did
you.
great.
I have to give props
plus.
to my wife because without my wife's help tonight, this wouldn't have happened. So I owe her like super big time for letting me do this stream. So thank you, honey, if you ever watch these anymore when you have time.
He's busy.
She's a busy mom, that's for sure. And I love her. So here we go. What do we got here? Savage Zoe. Destin, do you believe that it is in Microsoft's best interest to continue going to E3? In my opinion, it is, because Phil Spencer said it best when he said, we shouldn't allow it to die. And I think it helps a lot. Sort of what I was talking about with Sony. Sony has taken this route where they're like, well, we can just do it ourselves. We don't need anybody. And Xbox is kind of like, well, hey, now let's all like hang out and be buddies. And it just like, you start seeing these internal documents and it's just so weird at how different the companies are, especially right now. And I hope that everything that happens during this E3 and the people who have come to play and what that means for Sony's business later kind of makes them start playing nice with everybody again. Because I want both of these companies to be closer to parity. And I think they're going to get there, especially if this is the messaging that's sent out to the community. I don't know. That's just my 2 cents on it. So yeah. Paul, what about you?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because like as much flack as E3 gets these days, and I think the majority of the show has not been amazing this year, except for this maybe. There's still something to the E3 brand, or like as a concept. Like it is so ingrained in everyone's mind. It's like this is the big game thing of the year. And like even poor Jeff Kiley has the Summer Games Fest, and like he had the biggest announcement of the show, Elden Ring, and yet we're still kind of considering that an E3 announcement. Like
Yeah.
we just sort of call it that. And like that's just kind of the branding. So when Microsoft does show up to actual E3 and has if they're showing up and Sony isn't, they're pretty much by default the biggest show of the year every year, because Nintendo's always just going to do a direct, and they do directs all the time essentially. So they kind of just have this stage all to themselves, and like the entire show is building up to the Microsoft show. Microsoft show's usually pretty good these days, and then everything after is not quite as big as that. And so I think it's the perfect position for them, which is another reason that kind of Sony bowing out, like again, like their sales aren't suffering, whatever, but like in terms of messaging, I think that Xbox has been very smart to kind of maintain this presence, and it has done nothing but help them kind of ever since they've had the show all to themselves the past couple of years.
Travis?
Yeah, I think I don't want PlayStation and Xbox to be similar or to have parity. I actually kind of like that they're diverging from one another, because I think that
I mean
it's more
in terms
interesting.
of console sales and libraries.
Oh,
I don't
I
want
see
them
what
to
you're
be the
saying. Yeah,
same
so
company, but yeah.
yeah, but because for years they kind of were, right? Like that's why they were always seen as rivals, because they were going for the same market. And I see
Mhm.
now Xbox sort of going for this different type of player that maybe wants more freedom, and for PlayStation to go for that very specific type of curated experience within their walled garden. And I like that they're different, because I can see, Nintendo sort of avoided the console wars by splitting off and doing its own thing. And people are like, yes, Nintendo's going to be great, but they're not trying to compete with Sony or Microsoft. And would like to see that happen with Microsoft and Sony potentially. And if they continue to diverge as strategies, I think that's great. That said, I think E3 is like, it's one of the places where all of the different companies come together, and you've sort of seen that kind of splinter over the years. EA now does their own thing. Some companies have stopped showing up. Sony, who used to, if you've ever been to E3, they used to have the majority of the show floor. That was like, it was like all those boxes were Sony, and then Xbox usually had a much smaller one, and so did Nintendo. And so it's really weird to see them now sort of turning tail and deciding not to do it. And I hope that they change that decision, because I feel like, that Monday night after Microsoft went and then Sony went Monday night, and everybody was roaring in the crowd. I mean, that's like, that was when E3 was official. Like, it was here, right? It felt like it was, you were at a rock concert. So
Yeah.
I think E3 suffers, and I think fans suffer, and it makes it less of a conversation. And it's nice to get a state of play every couple months, but there's nothing like that Super Bowl event for games. And I think I really want E3 to be that Super Bowl event going forward, or at least there to be one, right? It doesn't have to be E3, but I think there should be one. So
I agree. And I think without it, like, everybody will just splinter, and it'll never be the same.
yeah,
I think it does a lot for gaming. It does a lot for marketing for all the companies. Conversations are at their height during E3. And if people just start doing their own thing, we'll lose that eventually. August Stormy says, it would be cool to see Forza Horizon 5 get recommended for Game of the Year this time. Feel like racing games get overlooked at award events. Yeah, I mean, it has a lot of technology that is definitely, like the photogrammetry of the ground that they're utilizing, the 12K textures for the sky, the fact that technologically it's really, really impressive. That's a good one. And a game we forgot to mention, Flight Simulator, is getting the Maverick update, and it's coming to consoles. We totally forgot to mention that, which is really, really cool. Paul, I know it's late for you, so let's take one more from the general chat here. Aryan Spartan had a really good one. I would love to hear your guys' opinion on. He said, what is all of your opinions on Halo multiplayer being free? I believe it is a good move to match the momentum of COD Warzone. It also allows new players who didn't want to drop $70 without Game Pass for the game to play. He's talking Canadian dollars. And Paul.
I think it was kind of a win-win, because with everything launching on Game Pass anyway, and like the significant increasing amount of people who, if you have an Xbox, you are increasingly likely to have Game Pass. So like everything is kind of free anyway there. Just making multiplayer free for, like, it was already going to be free on Game Pass, but now everyone else that doesn't have it can jump right in. I don't really see a downside for that, and it lets it compete with things like Warzone or Fortnite or all these other free-to-play games. It would be hard to do that if you were gating it behind a $60 copy of a game when maybe you weren't interested in the campaign at all. And obviously, I think multiplayer is a priority for them, but it's also smart because, as Travis said earlier, I absolutely think they're going to be selling battle passes and things. So just because you get someone into something that's free doesn't mean you can't make $1 billion like, Fortnite if you sell enough battle passes and skins or whatever. So it seemed kind of crazy at the time because they've never really split like this, but I assume most Halo players are going to be spending time with both the campaign and multiplayer. So
Yeah.
It's just kind of the best of all worlds, where like it makes perfect sense to do this given the position they're in.
Travis, let's hear from you after I read this from Killer E305. He says, Forza just did the one thing GT7 failed to do, and that's being a true next-gen only racing game. That's a good point. It is only next-gen. And a lot of people were criticizing GT5 for not drawing that line in the sand. Now, I am all for developers making that decision if they want to go next-gen only and harness the power of the next-gen consoles, or, not to do that. And I think later on, when Game Pass browsing is available on those older gen consoles, that's their solution for going backwards. Microsoft is leading in cloud gaming, and I can't wait to see where they go with it. Thank you to the new supporters also. Hi, Nick. Travis, what do you got? What's your thoughts on multiplayer?
Before I get into Halo, I also want to back up the whole Forza conversation. I think Forza 3 was like my game of the year that year, and I was just appalled that it was on no game. It wasn't even nominated for any of the Game of the Year awards, and I was just like, how? Like, it's a 98 on Metacritic. Like, how is it not even nominated? I just didn't understand it. So I agree with that. As for Halo, yes, I love that it's free. I love that the multiplayer's free.
Oh,
I think
Forza
it
is
goes with
cross-gen, I'm being told in chat. Sorry, I'll correct myself.
really.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, chat.
Well, yeah, Xbox doesn't believe in generations, so that's fine.
I was gonna say I thought it was cross-gen, but
No, that's fine.
But yeah, I love that it's free. I think it goes with Xbox's message of accessibility and removing barriers for people to play. Game Pass obviously does that already a ton, but making a game straight up free, especially since that seems to be the model these days, I think is smart. I do have one concern with this, which is that now that it is free, it does incentivize them to go a little bit heavier with the microtransactions and kind of the monetization of it. Halo 5, I think, was like the perfect balance where everything was just cosmetic and they didn't really do anything that incentivized your XP gains or anything like that. And I could see now that Halo multiplayer is free, I think they need to go a little heavier with monetization. And so I could see, the season pass helping you with things like, making your loadout better. If any of that happens, I'm worried. But I have to hope that this is simply just a change in the model that they're distributing it at, and that it won't affect their monetization. But that's my one concern with this, is that what does it mean for the model for players? Because I'm one of those guys where, like, I would rather pay you $100 and never get bothered with my microtransactions. Like, I would rather that than be free and then you just have like blast me with like what Ubisoft does, right? Like their games, they like make you pay money to make the game less annoying. Like, oh, hey, do you want to make the XP go twice as fast or have all the stuff on your map unlocked? Pay real money. And it's like, so now you're incentivized to make your game irritating because then I have to pay to remove the irritating parts of your game. It's like, I don't want that to creep into that. To me is like poison in gaming. And it's something I worry about all the time. So that's my one concern with me.
I don't think they would go full mobile transactions, but what if they did
I
something
hope
like they sell you the full game for $60-$70 or whatever, right? And then every few months they have a sizable piece of content that comes out that you buy via, I don't know, a season pass. How would you feel about something like that, Travis?
I've never seen a model like that, nor have I played
And
any
they would have
game
a
that does
store
that.
too with a bunch of cool like cosmetics and like
Oh yeah,
things
the
you could put on your
Haloverse.
car, maybe some
Yeah,
emotes.
yeah, that would be nice, huh? Yeah,
Would that work
yeah.
for you?
I fully expect something like that, Destin. I think that's the model we're going down. So as long as it's all cosmetic, I'm fine. I don't care. But if it, Halo 4, I think is like the model that I think they should stay away from.
that,
Loadouts
that
and
was one of the loot
all that
boxes,
stuff.
right? They like literally had
Yeah,
loot
yeah,
boxes.
yeah. They
Yeah,
had loot
I remember
boxes, and
that. That was the height of that fad.
yeah, yeah. I think Halo 4 is like a bridge too far. Halo 5 was right, it got right up to the line and then it stopped. And I think that's where I would like them to stay. But yeah, I fully expect they're gonna make a ton of money off of this free game that they're putting out. So as long as it's cosmetic, I'll be happy.
Paul, I'm having a good time hanging out, but I know you probably got to get out of here and do stuff with the dog. Do you want to do one more question?
It's a little late. I'm sure that's fine.
I just want to know. So somebody asked a really good one in chat, and I just want
Sure.
to get everybody's take on it. How would you rate the presentation, and like, how are you feeling about Xbox now that we know a lot more about their future? And I always call him Paul first because he's the first person in my feeds. Yeah.
Just go in order. It was refreshingly good. I mean, granted, we're comparing it to literally some of the worst presentations I've ever seen at E3. The past day with Koch Media and Gearbox.
Oh,
just
Everybody having to pull up their
astonishingly
music was
terrible.
the best.
yeah.
Yeah,
Gearbox.
that's a whole thing. But I think they did a really good job of. We're actually like to not for a lame quote, but like we're in the end game now for actual stuff coming out for Xbox within the next couple of months here. I mean we're at the start of summer, but these things are going to be starting to hit by fall. And I don't think even if Halo doesn't have a date, I don't think Halo's getting delayed again. Honestly, I think we're a little too late for that now. Even though maybe if the first delay hadn't happened, but they're not going to do it again. They want that for that window, and even though we didn't hear about everything they're doing, I think, it's crazy now to see Bethesda here, and like Bethesda is pretty much 60-70% of like all their known IPs now. Like when you line up everything Bethesda has to offer and just being reminded that all of that is like essentially Xbox going forward, outside of maybe a couple exceptions, maybe they make multi-platform, like you could really see kind of the bigger picture taking shape here. And like again, I don't think this is like doom for Sony or whatever, and I think Sony's going to do just great this generation. But I certainly think we are seeing dramatic improvements from Xbox this generation. kind of on all fronts, but especially, unless all of these are somehow miraculously disasters, which seems unlikely, that they have really improved in the first party category too, and that is something that they have been lacking for a very long time. So it's nice to see them kind of coming around, and we are going to start to see tangible results of that, as soon as 4 or 5 months from now, which is great.
Travis, how do you feel about the conference, and how do you feel about Xbox's future? Paul, really good answer.
Thank you.
Yeah, great answer, Paul. And so I feel awesome about Xbox's future. I'm one of those guys where I've been an Xbox guy since the original Xbox. Halo Combat Evolved kind of stole my heart, and I have been kind of an Xbox main ever since. But I'm also one of those guys who doesn't want Xbox to be too successful. To be honest, I don't want them to win this generation because I like Xbox best when they're an underdog. To be quite frank with you, and I feel like, if there's more Call of Duty playing Call of Duty players on the PlayStation platform, then that means there's fewer of them in Xbox lobbies annoying me. So I'm like happy to see Xbox be playing this game of catch up and trying to sell more units and being humble and coming up with innovative ideas. And I love everything that they've been doing. I think their first party is undeniably going to be the best that it's ever been. I think it probably will eventually be better than Sony just because of their sheer volume. They've got 23 studios now, which is by far the most studios of any of the other console owners. I think that that's going to be a huge asset to them in the future. Um, I do think that they have a little bit of catching up to do when it comes to third party support still, because way too often you see a game come out and I get excited for it, and then I see it's PlayStation, Steam, Switch, and I go, what the heck? Like, why do I have to go to another platform to play this game? And you still see Fall Guys still isn't on Xbox, Among Us still isn't on Xbox, Hades is finally coming to Xbox, which that was a Switch deal. But I think there's something Sony's doing with third parties where they're getting like that 6-month year lead, and it's frustrating. Disco Elysium, there's another one. I'm waiting for that to come to Xbox. I could play it on PlayStation right now, but yeah, it's just one of those things where I think that they're a little bit behind. But the conference was the best it's been. Their future is extremely bright. I love Phil and what he's done with Xbox as an underdog. I secretly hope they remain the underdogs because I do not want to have to go through an Xbox One generation again where everybody's. I'm just waiting for people to stop talking about Xbox's comeback because it's been like 5 years of the comeback or more, and we still hear about the comeback all the time.
But it's like we're still at the very start, though. Honestly,
yeah.
I mean,
it's just so long. So many, dude. I've been reading articles for like 5 years about how Xbox messed up in 2013, and now they're making that comeback. And it's just,
dude, they messed up so bad in 2013
they did.
that it followed them for 5 years. So
yeah,
that was not insignificant.
Thanks,
probably
Don.
more actually. Yeah, they're still paying for it, I would say. But yeah. That's my hope for it. But I love where Xbox is at. I'm very proud to be an Xbox main now, even though I love PlayStation, will always play those games, love Nintendo, will always play those games. But Xbox has a special place in my heart, and it really warms me to see them doing well, and seeing them gain momentum and making games more accessible to more people. I think is an awesome mission that I hope they continue to pursue.
Yeah, I'm an Xbox fan. I'm a gamer first. And you know what? There's a lot of great games on Sony's platform, and there's a lot of great games on the Xbox platform also. I wrote a few notes when I was watching the show, and basically I said, if you don't see the value, you clearly aren't paying attention, or you have an axe to grind, because Game Pass is simply incredible. It is a tremendous value for just gamers, and it's proven to be good for developers also. It is an industry-changing service that I would love to see Sony adopt something similar. I know you don't want them to just be the same company, but it is that good that I love it. I love everything about the Game Pass. I see no downsides right now. You can literally earn it for free doing the silly Microsoft rewards thing I talk about all the time. And for me, this is about potential and what to expect from Microsoft, not what's there this exact date. Like, they're starting their rollout of releases like what, next week starts the first one in June. I don't have it in front of me, but I know there's stuff coming in June and July. So it's starting right now, and it's going to snowball, and it's continue to get bigger and bigger. Xbox gamers have accepted that we need to wait a little bit longer. And in the meantime, we'll just play every third party we can on Game Pass, and it's awesome. It's just an awesome service. They're building up in 2021. They're going to hit, in my opinion, full speed ahead in 2022. And Sony right now has delayed everything to 2022, probably to combat the library of games that Xbox has already teased. We didn't even, like you said, we didn't talk about Fable. We didn't talk about Avowed. We didn't talk about Outer Worlds 2.
Outer World.
Yeah, we didn't talk about, there's so much more coming in the years to come. It's really, really exciting.
Yeah.
That's all I had planned for the show with you guys today. And Paul, I know you're tired. I'm sorry, man. Thanks for hanging out though.
No.
Where's your YouTube channel?
It's Paul Tassi. I still don't have a custom URL yet, but if you search for that, you'll find it. It's mostly Destiny, but I have been reacting to most of the press conferences. So
I'll put your link in the description when this goes up as a VOD. I'll update this one also. Sorry about that. Travis,
That's
are you going to start a YouTube? What are you doing?
Yeah, eventually. I guess that's the next thing I got to do for me now that I don't have Fire Team Chat to just like laze about with. But yeah, you can find me on Twitter at TyGuyTravis, and then you can read my stuff on IGN. I've had a lot of work this E3 season since everybody's busy with E3, too busy to do reviews. So I have a ton of reviews that I'm working on. I just finished a review of Griftlands, which I gave a 9 out of 10. Amazing. If you are into deck builders or roguelikes, you should check out that review. It's awesome. And then I'm reviewing the new Dungeons and Dragons game right now, Dark Alliance, which is going to come out on the 22nd. So you can find my review the 21st, the day before, which I'll be working on. So
Awesome.
keep me busy.
Check out Travis's work. Go subscribe to Paul Tassi. Paul has some of the best Destiny content on the internet. It's just him talking about stuff, but dude, you're really sharp and I love your articles. You always have something interesting to say, and you make YouTube videos to back that stuff up. If you want to watch my stuff, you can check me out right here, youtube.com/the Destiny channel. I didn't promote it at the top of the show, but all month long, I'm raising money for St. Jude Children's Hospital. We're at $2,240 of the $5,000 goal. I'll put that link in the description. It's tiltify.com/@DestinRL/helping-St-Jude. If you want to type it in, because I didn't make the graphic, but I will put the link down there. And if you like my channel, subscribe to it. If you want to become a member, memberships are turned on. You click the join button. I'm doing my standard outro that I do every video. That was an awesome conference. I can't wait to talk to you guys more about stuff in the future. Thank you so much. Let's get out of here. Have a wonderful night if you're watching this VOD or if you're watching it live. Bye for now, everyone.
Guardians, no.
No.